don't tell me about her talking about love. I don't think she knows the meaning of the word. I really don't. Greatest actor, Sir Ian McKellen, has given an interview to The Times and opined on the royal family. Basically, he says that when he was alive, Prince Philip appeared deeply unhappy. He said that Charles seems clearly damaged by life in the royal family, and said that when he was presented with the Companion of Honour in 2008 by the Queen, she was, and I quote, bloody rude. Basically, apparently she said, does anybody still go to the theatre? Sir Ian thought that was bloody rude. Well, they don't really go in their great numbers like they used to, do they? So it was a fairly valid question. As for Charles, I think that's an interesting observation, that perhaps he has been damaged by his strange life. And, I mean, I wouldn't say I've seen Prince Philip in action. Met him a couple of times. He never seemed that unhappy to me. Funny guy he was, very funny guy. Seemed to be well at ease with his role in life. But the main thing that he says is Prince Harry. He says basically that Prince Harry is not bright enough to cope with royal life, which I thought was really interesting because, let's face it, what we're watching across the Atlantic, you know, it's a crap show, isn't it? I mean, you know, God knows what he's up to. I mean, they can't work out what he's doing. He looks like a ship at sea, a little boy lost, going off on these ridiculous pretend royal tours for no apparent reason, playing second fiddle to Meghan. I mean, why? Why go and sort of meet local dignitaries in Colombia and play the drum with local tribesmen? Why? I mean, they're not royal family. They're not fostering diplomatic relations or anything like that, or trade. It's absolutely pointless. So he does seem to be rather lost, and we're hearing that he's trying to come back to Britain, maybe on a partial basis, but his brother's having none of it. So whatever you think about Harry, his life does appear to have unravelled, and he seems angry and frustrated all the time. So is it that he's too thick to cope with his lot in life? That is, this extraordinary lot of being born into, you know, a unique family, an extraordinary family. I mean, it is a strange circumstance to be a member of the royal family. So is he too thick? Let's talk to psychologist Lucy Beresford. Welcome, Lucy.
Hello, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting suggestion, isn't it? Because I was looking for a explanation for some of Harry's behaviour, and some of it seems illogical. He seems to lash out angrily. He seems very, very furious about almost everything. He's at war with his family. Now, other members of the family, you know, do seem to have learned to cope with their lot in life, which is an extraordinary lot. Do you think, Sir, you know, and Harry is famously, shall we say, not intellectually gifted. Do you think that is a logical kind of conclusion to reach, that basically the problem with Harry is he's too thick to deal with his circumstance, to cope with the extraordinary position of being a member of this unique family?
No, I don't think this got anything to do with interview, although...
Go on, sorry.
Just slam dunk you there. I mean, yes, it wasn't necessarily for academic achievement that he went through Eton, but you do get other things in education, and I think emotional intelligence is something that's really important within the royal family. In fact, arguably, if you were a bit too bright, a bit too cerebral, cutting ribbons at hospitals might not necessarily fulfill you. But I think it's because there is this incredible sense of duty and a real genuine affection and warmth for the people that they serve, that the royal family do what they do so consistently well. Mm-hmm. The problem with Harry is that he is the classic second child. In Spare, the autobiography sort of semi-written by him,
Yeah.
auto-dictated by him.
Well, not written by him, but ghost-written by someone. Ghost-written by someone else, but point taken, it's his words.
A brilliant ghostwriter who was able to really capture Harry's voice.
Sure. Good book, by the way.
Clear.
Very good book. Well worth reading. I'll give him that.
It's a complete page-turner.
Yeah, it is.
And actually, the chapter where he describes meeting his British psychotherapist for the first time. Obviously, I found that both very fascinating and very moving. Mm-hmm. But there is so much anger in that autobiography. Yeah. And it's very much rooted in the idea that he got the smaller bedroom. And the whole of Harry's behaviour, the whole of his life and the choices that he makes are really driven and mobilised by the fact that he is not just was the second son, but even in your talk-up, you were talking about the fact that he's playing second fiddle to Meghan.
Yeah. Let's talk about something very, very different, and that is about King Charles, because believe it or not, it is 2 years since the Queen died, and Charles has been on the throne for 2 years. He spent 64 years preparing for the role of monarch, of course, before his ascension on the 8th of September 2002. It's hard to believe it's 2 years. It doesn't feel like that, actually. He, of course, had very, very high expectations to live up to. Let's talk about whether he has succeeded with Caroline Aston, who's one of my favourite royal commentators. Caroline, great to have you in the programme. Has Charles done the right thing? Has he been a good monarch in the last 2 years, do you think?
Well, I think by and large he has. You're quite right. Where did those 2 years go? Who can't forget those last images of Her Majesty the Queen, frail, indomitable, still fulfilling the oath she made when she was 21 to devote her life, however long, and it was a long one, or short, to our service and duty. And then the King, and how hard it was to call him King Charles.
Yeah, well, still today, I don't know about you, Caroline, but when I say the Queen, I think of Elizabeth II. I'm afraid, with the greatest of respect to her, and she is a great public servant, I don't think of Camilla.
Well, no, but then, of course, she's a consort, not a reigning monarch in her own right. You're quite right. And I struggled with singing God Save the King. I was always starting to say qua and then turning it to ka. I think we all felt like that. And who will forget that first broadcast he made, with the grief of the nation graven on his face, along with his own, ending with that memorable phrase, "May flights of angels sing her to her rest." And then those amazing scenes of the state funeral, that human serpent of people going back miles, waiting to pay their personal respects, as the King got up and got on with the job, going out there, showing himself to his people, doing what his mother has always said, being seen to be believed, and facing, yes, some very public demonstrations. I'm sure we remember those placards with "Not Our King" written on yellow. Detractors as well as those who are what they call today fans of the royal family. And the coronation, an amazing, amazing piece of spectacle. But for me, one of the most human moments of that was when he knelt to be anointed, and there was that glimpse of him from the back before they put screens around him. And we saw that we were crowning the oldest monarch we've ever crowned, a man who, as you say, had waited so long to do the top job. Difficult, large shoes to fill. Do I think he's done a good job? You know, I actually rather do.
Well, let's talk about that in a second, but it's interesting you mentioned that about his age, certainly, Caroline. When we saw him from the back, we saw the bald spot, not a lot of hair apparent, and I wonder what you think about the job he has done, because of course he has tried to be to all parts of the United Kingdom, the Commonwealth as well, but the age aspect has held him back in many ways. He's been suffering from cancer as well, which of course people can get at any age, but far more likely to affect people in their mid-70s.
This is absolutely true. And of course, he said that the hallmark of his reign were going to be 4 C's: communication, culture, Commonwealth, and climate, especially climate, of course, which he was had a great interest in, even when he was seen as a bit of a nerd, a bit of a geek. And now it's bang on the money, of course, as we look at climate change. To that 4C theory has been added that, as you say, 5th C, cancer. And who could have predicted that dreadful diagnosis that strikes chill in the blood of all of us would not only come to him, but also to his beloved daughter-in-law.
Fantastic news. Just the tonic that she and millions of people in this country need, my friend.
Absolutely. It's been a long road to get to this stage, and it's been fraught with difficulties and speculation. But at least now we know that she's through the worst, it would seem. But as she says in this statement, she's still having to manage it and work hard in many ways to remain cancer-free. But that is something that so many people go through. You know, you get the all clear, but lurking around the corner, it has a habit of biting you back. So she knows she's got it's not for certain. So there's an element of caution in the statement, but she has and says throughout the statement that she has released that she really has appreciated all the support of what it is to be loved and feel that love and support from so many people, particularly her family. And I think what he's also saying, and that is the important bit about the resuming public duties. Yes, we've heard that she may go to the remembrance service at the cenotaph, and we have seen her at various things through the summer, most notably the King's birthday parade and at Wimbledon, a couple of videos, and we've seen shots of her going to church. But this is the most positive sign that normal duties may be able to resume over the coming months. What form that will take, it will be determined by her as she manages her continued recovery.
You were talking about the outpouring of love from her family, the outpouring of love from the United Kingdom, from the general public, but also across the world, I think speaks in such volume as to how much this lady has become a global icon. I know, obviously, Diana, Princess of Wales, was the same, but Kate's always amazed me. I know I called her Iron Kate. I know from what the old man did, you and I have had this conversation before, for an outsider to have come into the royal family was a massive step. But for somebody so grounded, it seems, to have been, she has such an incredible way with kids, with people in general. I think she's the star of the royal family. And of course, we all remember, however many months ago it was now, the double shock of herself and the king. I'm just delighted, but I think you're right as well. Chemotherapy might end. There is, of course, always that fear, always that concern, always that worry that it could come back. And it's, you know, many people have been in that position where you think, what am I, do I just look at it over my shoulder? Do I get on with my life? Should have had the best care, and quite right. But for all of us, in the midst of all the misery that's in the world, this is something to hold on to. And, you know, first and foremost, she's a mother of 3 young kids. That's what I hold on to here.
And I think that's what she holds most dear. That's been the entire focus. And that's why, you know, obviously through the summer holidays, we know and we've heard that she's been able to try and have as normal a summer holiday.
Roo, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you because we've actually got the video statement that the Princess of Wales just released. This is for everybody. You can watch it, you can listen. Here we go.
You lead the way.
As the summer comes to an end, I cannot tell you what a relief it is to have finally completed my chemotherapy treatment. The last 9 months have been incredibly tough for us as a family. Life as you know it can change in an instant, and we've had to find a way to navigate the stormy waters and road unknown. The cancer journey is complex, scary, and unpredictable for everyone, especially those closest to you. With humility, it also brings you face to face with your own vulnerabilities in a way you've never considered before. And with that, a new perspective on everything.
Is this filming?
Hello? Hello?
This time has above all reminded William and me to reflect and be grateful for the simple yet important things in life, which so many of us often take for granted, of simply loving and being loved. Doing what I can to stay cancer-free is now my focus. Although I have finished chemotherapy, my path to healing and full recovery is long, and I must continue to take each day as it comes. I am, however, looking forward to being back at work and undertaking a few more public engagements in the coming months when I can. Despite all that's gone before, I enter this new phase of recovery with a renewed sense of hope and appreciation of life. William and I are so grateful for the support we've received and have drawn great strength from all those who are helping us at this time. Everyone's kindness, empathy and compassion has been truly humbling. To all those who are continuing their own cancer journey, I remain with you, side by side, hand in hand. Out of darkness can come light. So let that light shine bright.
It's not what we typically see from the Sussexes. We had Meghan over the weekend with Oprah Winfrey talking about love and gushing all this weird word salad.
Yeah.
And then you hear from the Princess of Wales and her talk about, you know, it's so important to just love and be loved. And there's such a sincerity there, and innocence to Catherine's words, a vulnerability and an intimacy that we don't get from the Sussexes. And it really disappoints me that they went ahead and dropped this teaser within hours after Catherine's announcement.
So wait a second, Kinsey, let's get this straight. I mean, I was discussing this earlier in the show with my guest Russell Quirk, and I sort of made a joke about the Sussexes. Let's hope they don't issue one of their statements that they tend to do as soon as anything emerges from Buckingham Palace, particularly to do with William and Kate, you know, the big rivals of Harry and Meghan. And now you tell me that that we were laughing about it. Oh, even Harry won't do this. But he has. He's actually...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. This is a preview for his polo series that no one gives a damn about, right?
Yeah, coming out in December, and, you know, there is no indication that this was done purposely, but if you are a good publicist, if you are a good marketing person, you pull back. You realize that this will look inappropriate to step on Catherine's toes in such a really, you know, just precious moment where she's just saying, it's an interesting video because she's giving us an update, but she also wants to manage our expectations.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, she's not. I mean, it's happy news. She's clearly, after chemotherapy, she talks about wanting to remain cancer-free. So I assume that the chemotherapy has successfully knocked the cancer out, but she's not, as you say, saying, oh, I'm home and dry, everything is fine. Everybody who's had cancer will identify with where she's at here. It's a lovely video. It's an optimistic message, but she's still got a way to go. She's still on a journey here, isn't she?
Yeah, and it just feels so, you know, I just feel like we've been given access to something that we don't necessarily deserve. After the Where's Kate chaos online, there's, the visual of the Princess of Wales and the Prince of Wales cuddled together on the ground. Oh, my gosh, that right there. I mean,
It's amazing, isn't it?
It flipped my heart upside down and around, you know, and I just think about how ugly the internet was at the beginning of this year after her abdominal surgery, where she said, I need some time. I had this abdominal surgery. Some of the nasty rumors I was forced to address on Australian television, and just some of the horrible things that started circulating online that came to a surface and hit the mainstream media. And it's such a beautiful video, and I think some of us don't deserve this kind of access to them, and I feel really privileged that they've shared this with us.
Yeah, indeed, and of course there was that ridiculous row about the editing of the photo, which Kate did not very well, family picture, and then when you subsequently learn the poor girl's suffering from cancer, you think, hang on a second, that kind of puts photoshopping, a row over photoshopping, into context. It doesn't matter. What matters is that she survives. I mean, what you're talking about is a young mum with a loving husband, lovely kids, and we want her to survive, and it looks as if she will. That's the good news. Now you're telling me that the other great news is we'll be able to watch Harry's series about chinless wonders falling off horses on Netflix at the end of the year. Apparently, we've got that now. Let's have a look. Okay. Well, there it is. It's a Twitter post announcing. There you go. It's a Twitter post announcing that this is coming up. You know, I mean, this was a couple of hours ago. I mean, to my mind, Kinsey, given their track record, the gruesome twosome, Harry and Meghan, this is deliberate. I mean, they always seem to announce something straight after there's an announcement by William and Kate.
I mean, it's the most unfortunate coincidence for them, if that's the case. It just looks very vulgar in the big scheme of things, because Catherine, like you've said over the last few minutes, this is a life or death situation, and we are very invested in this young family's health and in their future. They are the future of the monarchy, and they are such good representatives for the monarchy. They have a strong marriage. They put family first, which we saw throughout that video over and over again. They've raised 3 beautiful, well-behaved children. One is going to be the future king, and it just feels disrespectful in the grand scheme of things to drop a tweet announcing the polo show coming in December. Like, that's the last thing I want for Christmas, let me tell you. It's just like, if you were a good publicist or social media manager or marketing person in the Netflix department, aren't you looking at one another going, we might want to press pause on this and let the Princess of Wales's video have a moment, allow it to breathe.
As I've been trying to get the message over to Prince Harry, but he won't listen to me. Harry, if you are watching this, nobody cares about polo, apart from a few chinless wonders who actually play that very boring game that's quite cruel to horses as well. So Netflix have already said they don't expect this or they've let it be known, they don't expect Harry's polo series, and I quote, to connect. In other words, they just think it's going to be dull. But to announce it now, after Kate released this video, I mean, perhaps it was an unfortunate coincidence, but I can't help being cynical about it and feel that it wasn't. It's par for the course for the gruesome twosome from Montecito.
It really is, because if you think about it, you know, I had this argument earlier this morning. You know, I want to be open-hearted, and I want to think that some things just accidentally fall where they fall. But for Meghan Markle to sit in a Montecito, Summerland bookstore on the eve of the 2nd anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's death and talk me, it feels gross. You know that all eyes are going to be on members of the royal family on the anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's death. Maybe you should sit this one out. Yeah. You know, it's these dates are important.
And if Meghan, she likes to talk about love, as she did when she went to Oprah Winfrey's book club thing, and as you say, spoke movingly about that emotion, love. If she knew anything about it, perhaps she would show a bit of love towards the father that she has cruelly cast into oblivion and won't speak to anymore, who just wants to see his grandkids maybe one time before the end, because he's 80 and he's very old. So don't tell me about her talking about love. I don't think she knows the meaning of the word. I really don't.
Well, I actually had to be on air when I saw it for the first time, because we knew it came out and it was embargoed till 4:30 UK time. I was actually on air at the time, and then I saw it. And I obviously read the statement beforehand, so I know the gist of what she was going to talk about, but in essence saying her cancer treatment is over and how much she's appreciated the support of everybody, her family, and what it has meant over these last months. But actually the video took me by surprise, because they've gone for the slick number. But actually at the heart of it, I mean, it's a well-produced number. There's a lot of soft focus stuff and running through fields, but what at the heart of it with her husband and her 3 children, it's just a family trying to behave as normally as possible. And you clearly sense the closeness of that family. And it was touching at times. I didn't sob, but I was touched. I'm stiff upper lip British, as you know, Kinsey. So I took it all in my stride, but I was surprised, because the royal family, as we know, is conservative by nature and not great with their public displays of affection. And this was out there. We know she's a very loving and hands-on mum, as much as she can be and has been able to be. And we know the way she wants her life to work around schooling. But actually, it was more than that. You know, there was much sort of, the way William and Catherine interacted in the video, I thought was interesting. And bearing in mind that they would have given the final say, what they would have allowed to be put out there. But, when you think of videos past, they're pretty, clinical, not clinical, but there's not that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I have to say, it was good. And it's definitely put Princess and Princess of Wales on the front foot from a PR perspective. That's my initial reaction. Bearing in mind, you and I are talking about this no more than a couple of hours after it dropped. But I think initially the reaction seems to be one of very positive. There are obviously things that we can dissect from it. What does it mean going forward? And I think that's the important aspect. But what they've really done, Kinsey, and we've spoken about this on previous Airs and Spares, about once the children go back to school, what's it look like for the Prince and Princess of Wales? Well, we saw already the Prince of Wales out and about doing public duties and getting out there, and with his homeless charity and various other things. With the Princess of Wales, we're not sure. Well, this is in a way of stopping the speculation. What's going on? She's put it out there now. So now we have something to work on of how the royal family or the Kensington Palace are going to manage her rehabilitation out there in the public.
What did you think when she said that she wants to be back at work like that? I thought that was very sweet when she said, I'm taking my time, but I want to see you. I want to be back at work. It just felt like a love letter to people, the people that wrote in and said, I'm praying for you. It just felt like, and it was so unnecessary and so kind. It just felt like they were giving us so much more than they had to. And I really appreciated that, because I didn't feel like she was treated the way she should have been leading up to this. The Where's Kate hashtag, the TMZ hiding in the bushes outside of Windsor to snap that photo of her and her mother when she was supposed to be recovering from abdominal surgery. It just felt like they were giving us a little bit more than we honestly deserved.
Well, no, I think they're not naive and insusceptible to the support that they've had, because she is a popular figure, and like anybody who's trying to recover from cancer, you would be made of pretty nasty stuff if you wouldn't want to wish anybody well. And I think the general consensus is that she deserves it. We're not privy to what's been wrong with her, but it's definitely not been good. I mean, that's what we can, because it's taken so long. The King's been out and about pretty quickly after we knew that he'd been diagnosed, yet it's probably been easier to manage in his case, although he's somebody who doesn't like to sit still. And I'm sure for the Queen, it's been something of a nightmare. But we know we've seen him this week at the Highland Games and all that, and out and about. But in the Wales's case, it's a different one to manage. And I think it's very good PR-wise that they have reflected on the fact that they've felt the love of lots of people, aside from just the love of the children and and her husband supporting her through this difficult time. And she does like and want to be a working royal as much as she can. But ultimately, I think this means, and the way this video has been framed, it's family first.
Yeah.
I will get out and about, and if you read the statement, as and when my recovery allows me, even though she's in a post-chemo or whatever treatment she's having phase. And we all know that cancer can bite you back quickly. You think you're in there, and then before you know it, you're back under the treatment, on the treatment table. So it feels like it's not a straightforward recovery. Even in this post-treatment phase, things need to be managed. But I think the way they've got the PR initiative now is They've put it out there. It's obviously something that's been well thought of. That video wasn't just thrown together in a day. So what you're actually seeing is the PR people and the team have been working out how to rehabilitate her in the eyes of the public and what is going to be important for her. And the statement suggested that it's family first, i.e. her children, because this is obviously, you know, their 3 children. It's been quite traumatic for them, I would have thought. When you're young children, you've got your mother facing cancer, because at their age, they're just suddenly beginning to realize that everything's not about Father Christmas and Disney.